This project, painting dresses, started in the year 2005 when I retrieved a gift that I had been given in 1983 of a beaded flapper dress. And I painted that dress and thought that it would be the only garment painting that I would do until another woman saw that painting and gave me another dress. And so 50 paintings followed that one first dress, and that was then exhibited. And after that exhibition, I had thought back to an auction that I had attended at Lindsay in 1983 of the Boyd auction, and in that auction there were absolutely beautiful garments that had stayed in my imagination for a very, very long time. And I thought I would love to paint some of those, and so when contacted by a woman in Peterborough that a friend of hers in fact had Boyd garments, I pursued that. I come from a family where the garments would have been handmade. The women were extremely classic in their sense of beauty, and they saved what they made. They valued things and didn't throw it away. We live in a society where I think women are trying to find their own identity through clothing and then keep giving it away because they don't find their identity. But once particularly I saw the Boyd paintings, or saw the Boyd garments, there was real identity in these dresses. It seems as if they knew themselves. And great style. Great panache with choices of material and choices of patterning and so on. So this whole project is really about women who knew themselves. I think that what informs this work beyond my own family connections to the country and the weather and the land would be Canadian women writers. I painted Margaret Lawrence when I lived in Peterborough as a young teacher, and this painting, I believe, has a lot to do with Jane Urquhart's book, Away. It has to do with the early immigrant experience in that there's a description in her work about garments being thrown overboard after disease had occupied the new immigrants from Ireland and Europe. But more than anything, I paired the dress with the kind of landscape that you would find in the Kawarthas. And I find that landscape, since the Diviners, Margaret Lawrence's Diviners, absolutely ethereal and beautiful. My favorite combinations in painting are dark navy blue with white. I just love that combination. And this dress was so intricate in its patterning that it would have been such a beautiful image to paint it on a navy lake. This painting came about from the collection of Penny Rush in Peterborough, and when she brought, this is an opera coat, when she brought this coat out to me, she said two things. This coat was made with gold thread, and this is really chinchilla. And she also offered this coat up for me to wear to the opening, but it was too spooky to wear the fur around my neck. It was a funny feeling to it. But once you hung the work, it had such a beautiful free space. You could just see that a woman would be comfortable in this and it wouldn't be binding in any way. I don't know about you, but I'm always trying to find clothes that don't bind and yet look elegant. If you follow the shapes through the whole thing, it's very Art Deco, very European, and very classy coat. It's as contemporary today as it was the day it was made. And there's a little tag in it, it was made in Paris. This is a child's dress that I documented from the Boyd Museum in Bobcaygeon. And also in this painting are flowers that I took from early gardens in the area. And Miss Sheila, who was the last Boyd to be in the house before the auction occurred that sold off the Boyd estate, used to be an avid gardener. And so I tried to go back and look at flowers that would be contemporary with the Boyd family. I also went back to journals of the time, and often they just included the shapes of the flowers without coloring them in. So this kind of not filling in, I think, returned to how they describe the flowers of the time. The dress itself, I think, is important because of the high death rate of children at that time. And when I looked at the Boyd Museum display that day, and there were all these white garments, I thought to myself, how many of these kids survived? And so this little dress, which could have been worn by a boy or a girl, by the way, for me became a memory of these kids. This is the first Boyd dress that I painted with water, and it was an extreme departure from what I had been doing before, to not hang the dress in my studio window and to paint the street, which I see outside. To suddenly switch to water as a secondary image bank was huge. And we had visited Bobcaygeon. We had stood where the Boyd house had been located, and all I think they would have been thinking about was water, the condition of the water. They played on the water, they boated on the water, they died on the water. So even the transportation of their cows across from where they were to their island, they used to house the cows on an island there, all became key that I document the water. So I went up and tried to get different tones of the water. Angry water, elegant water, and this came from just one of those days where everything is perfect and you're looking at water and it's just enchanting. And so this was a real delight to paint. Not only the transparency of the dress, which I love painting, but also its subtlety and its color. So I thought, what kind of woman would wear this? It had to be an elegant, trim woman that had great thoughts. And so as I painted it, I thought, I wish I had known this woman. I wish I could have a cup of tea with her in her nice veranda up there in Bobcaygeon. And it just is a really classy dress. This painting is called Undergarment, and this is the Judy that I have in my studio that usually I put the garments on. The Judy is a size 10, and I couldn't fit any of the Boyd garments on this Judy. They were too small. So we're looking at garments that probably were size 8, maybe size 6. Then our neighbor next door, who has a house the same vintage as our house, about 1865, was up in his attic and cleaning it out and came across this squished thing with circles in it. And when he opened it up, he realized it was an undergarment. So he brought it over, and very delightful guy, you know. I don't know, I can't think of anyone else who'd use this but you. And I tied it onto the Judy, and sure enough it fit. And suddenly this became an icon image. This must have been under garments that were early or late 1800s in Bobcaygeon, as well as stashed in the bowels of houses in Bowmanville. But what it indicates to me is I don't have to wear this anymore. I don't have to have this shape anymore. I'm free from this. And I think my dress paintings are about revealing women on their journey through the 20th century with getting votes, with eliminating all of this stuff that they were supposed to be. It's a long journey, we're not there yet, but this was the beginning of me thinking seriously about the Boyd women as being very cultured and probably thinking about a lot of this stuff. There's one painting framed in this show, and it's this one. And this painting is called Memory, and I thought I had the right to box it up. When I put a dark frame on, or any frame on these dresses, they become restricted, and my whole goal was to free the women up. But this one, because it was a memory, I felt I could box it. So to me, this is almost a surreal image. This is a boxed image that I don't relate this to a woman, but when you see the other paintings, they almost have the woman's shape, and the woman exists in that dress for me. So this I could try.